The GSD Opposition has expressed concern that Mr Jack's contract has not been renewed. It says the explanation given by the government that there are uncertainties ahead does not sit well with recent announcements of increased public expenditure generally, and says the budget for 2017-2018 made provision for a fourth judge, making this decision a clear U-turn. Well, Shadow Justice Minister Elliott Phillips joins us live to discuss the matter. Thanks for being here, Mr Phillips. Now, you expressed concern at the news, adding that government's explanation does not sit well. So, what are the main issues for the opposition here?
Well, I think the starting position quite clearly is this, in that the Minister for Justice holds a very, very specific oath in Gibraltar, and when he becomes Minister for Justice, he swears an oath to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and effectively protect and preserve the efficiency and affect the support of the judiciary in terms of its resources in Gibraltar. It's very, very important, that part of the oath. What we say about what's happened in relation to Mr Jack now, is that we've now decreased our judicial capacity from 4 to 3. Now, that sits at odds, we say, with the budget. Now, the budget was very, very clear in what it said, and which was approved by the Parliament, in which it said it would continue to have 3 puisne judges as well as the Chief Justice. Now, there seems to be a remarkable shift from what was stated at the end of June in Parliament as to the sufficiency of the resources available to the Supreme Court to what has been established now with the non-reappointment of Mr Justice Jack. Now, the government really needs to explain that, because there are 2 fundamental issues which I think Mr Jack did pick up on in his extended interview that he's given GBC, and they relate to primarily the resourcing of the courts, but also the business case for the resourcing of the courts. Now, in our view, I wear 2 hats here. One as someone who practices at our bar, and also as Shadow Justice Minister. There's quite clearly a need in our respectful view for 4 judges, and we say this because as a jurisdiction that deals with very complex cases, very high-value commercial litigation, we need to resource that when it descends on Gibraltar. And the business case is that the government is clearly trying to invest in bringing new business to Gibraltar, very, very large-scale business. And usually when you bring large-scale business to a jurisdiction, there tends to be disputes that arise therein. So what we would say is that it is wrong, certainly, to bring that quota down to 3 puisne judges in total, including the Chief Justice, and that the government should really explain why it's done that. Given the fact also, there's actually one further point that I don't think Mr Jack picked up on, and that is the increase in access to justice. Many of our people cannot access the justice system because of the rates at which the government has set in relation to acquiring access to justice. Now, the chairman of the bar last year at the opening of the legal year said very, very clearly that there is something needs to be done very, very seriously about allowing normal working families to get access to justice. And if the government are truly committed to doing that, then there can be more work within the Supreme Court service. So therefore, looking to the future, we should really look to maintaining the personnel we have and the resources for our justice system.
It is the Judicial Services Commission that, in fact, appoints the judges. But a few points that to pick up on. The court services need to be agile and robust. So are you saying that this will not be possible now with 3 judges?
No, look, our judges in Gibraltar, and I say this from someone that has inside information insofar as what other jurisdictions think of our judges, and we have got a stellar reputation, I must say, our judges in our jurisdiction. The Chief Justice, Mr Justice Prescott Ramage, and Mr Justice Butler. We have a stellar reputation. But we have a stellar reputation because we can resource that with 4 judges. I fear, and I have this strong reservation, that by reducing that resource down to 3, when we have one very large case that could descend up the rock in any one moment, it will take away 1 judge from our quota of judges and our resources. And that could take up full-time one of our judges on a particular case. And that cannot be right for the administration of justice in our jurisdiction.
So you're saying it's going to have a massive impact?
I think there will be, down the line, some very serious impacts for 2 reasons. One is, if we're promoting Gibraltar as a place to do business, people will also want to conduct their disputes in this jurisdiction. But secondly, if we allow more people to access our justice system so that they can vindicate their rights in court, we will need more judges to conduct that type of work. So 2 very strong, compelling arguments to suggest that we should have a fully resourced court service. And the fact is, the Minister for Justice is entirely responsible for the efficiency and the resources of our court system, and he really does now need to explain why there is not sufficient funding given to the Supreme Court to have that additional judge.